Good morning, everyone. Earthy Wise Woman here, and this morning I am taking thread and needle in hand, and I am currently crafting my youngest granddaughter's Yule gift. And I do this every year for, you know, when my grandchildren are little, and my youngest granddaughter is 2 years old. So this will be very nice for her. And this morning, I want to answer a few questions that I received. And one person said to me, asked me if it was all right if they did a love spell with what was it, a pink candle and a walnut shell. First of all, I thought that was very creative. I really did. And smart. I thought that was very smart. It is reverence of earth, and that's really nice. But I think that I'm going to put this down real quick because I want to emphasize that pretty much everything that grows is an herb, including a walnut is an herb. And I'm going to go ahead and, I don't like the word breakdown, but analyze how she's casting her spell. So why don't we do that together? I'm going to put this down and we're going to go ahead and analyze her spell, okay? Shall we? First of all, she's using a tea light, which is a candle. Ooh, excuse me, too much light. Which is a candle that's really rather small. It's like about the width of a $1/2 and about a quarter of an inch thick. So it's not a very big candle. And she's using pink. Now, pink is the color for love, but not lust, which is good. If you want real love, pink is the candle I would burn. Also, for some people, it's a candle for friendship. And I would suggest for when people are casting love spells, pink would be the color I would choose, not red. Red is more for lust and sex, but not so much for love and friendship. And yes, you do want love and sex. I mean, sex and lust, you do. But first, it should start off on the basis of a friendship and a love, not just right to sex. So, for those of you who are thinking, well, I want love, I'm going to burn a lot of red candles, you're going to draw a lot of lust into your life, but not a lot of love. Now, the reason I'm also looking at her spell is she told me that she burned or lit her candle in a walnut shell. Now, let's look up what a walnut is, first of all. And I personally would tell her a walnut shell may not be the smartest idea. Now, I'm going to tell you why. Walnuts are masculine energy, okay? Fire. And that's not a bad thing. But there are different aspects in masculinity that we want to draw into. So, masculine and the planetary for the walnut is the sun. The element, of course, is fire. Walnuts are for good health, mental powers, infertility for men, you get the idea, and for wishes. Now, how we can spin this is she does wish to fall in love. So that is one thing that is a good, turn. And she does wish to have a virile man, I guess, because infertility is a part of this. And it would be the reverse to, get away from infertility. Now, what would I strongly suggest that she would burn it in? I wouldn't strongly. I like this walnut is not a bad idea. Okay, I want to make that really clear. And it's also good that she is burning her candle in a natural setting, like a walnut shell, which is of nature, which is good. But also, I want to make it clear she can also burn her candle in a seashell. That is feminine energy, Venus, element of water. She could also burn her candle in, well, I've seen people do it in stones. Okay. Now, a stone is not a herb, but it is a natural element. And you know, it's masculine. Also, she could burn her candle in wood, and you're like, oh, they catch fire. No, no, uh, petrified wood. And wood is also um, the energy of masculinity. But now here's the one thing also I do like about wood. Wood is of ancient old times because the Druids worshiped the trees. And we knew that life comes from the tree. And then there are certain trees that we can use to draw love, which are apple trees. Apple trees are good. So, for the person who did ask me the question about that, I would strongly suggest, and she's burning with cinnamon, which is also love. Not too much cinnamon now, because it is love, but cinnamon is also regular lust. It's hot, and you're burning with a lot of masculine energy. That's not always so great to put all that masculine energy into it. Even though, yes, you do, if you do want a man, I suspect. I didn't ask. So I would strongly suggest instead of burning with cinnamon, I would think rose petals. And you don't have to buy rose petals. You can go ask the bush with respect if you can have some of its petals and take the petals. You can dry the petals naturally, or you can even just burn them wet. You can crush them a little bit, add a little oil to it, and that's fine. And this is of the earth. And not only that, it's not that expensive. So that's an important thing because a lot of people don't realize that they don't have to spend a lot of money. Now, as I told you, now here's the thing about cinnamon. Cinnamon is love. It is lust. It's protection. And here's the quirkiness of cinnamon. Now, I told you cinnamon is masculine and it of the sun, and it is. Here's the quirk. The deities associated with cinnamon is Venus, feminine, okay? And Aphrodite. Okay, Greek version, also feminine. Okay. What I'm trying to say is this cinnamon would work. So, my suggestion is why don't you get some roses, crush them up with some powdered cinnamon, add a little oil. Now, you're wondering what kind of oil to use. I would use olive oil if you're on a budget. Olive oil is fine. I would use a natural earth oil. Um, Olive oil, peanut oil, coconut oil, all of these are of the earth, okay? And that's fine. I would not use a synthetic oil, no mineral oil, nothing like that. Jojoba oil is good. The reason I suggested the first three oils is because they're a little easier on the budget, okay? They're a little easier on the budget. And way back in the day, way back, excuse me, I have to have my morning coffee. My grandmother, who was from the South, um, Louisiana to be exact. Um, Her mother, they would when they would have to, around this time of year when they would have to kill their livestock. Sometimes she would, her mother would say the talon from the cows. They would melt it, and they would actually use that in spells, the talent, because it was, from the animal, and they did thank the animal before they killed, which is um, which is important. You always remember that something sacrificed its life in order for us to sustain our life. Vegetables sacrifice their lives so that we can eat them, And animals did as well, fish as well, birds in the sky. They sacrificed their lives in order for us to sustain ours. So that is why we give grace. People wonder, well, why should we give grace? We thank God for our food, but we should also thank the being that gave up its life in order for us to eat that food, which is the cows, the goats, the chickens, the pigs, the vegetables. All of it gave its life, even the grains that we may sustain our life. And that's an important thing to remember. So, for the person, back to all of that, to the original question. The person who asked me, was it okay that she cast a love spell with a tea light candle, pink tea light candle, in a walnut shell? My answer is a category all the way yes. Well done. I would suggest, and I like the cinnamon, I would suggest you add a few rose petals. That would be nice. Or some flowers. Daffodils are pretty too, but this is not the time of year for them. It's barely the time of year for roses, but we live in such a society, I know you can get some rose petals. So that's a good thing. And now, on a different subject altogether, I want to show you this is what I am crafting for my granddaughter. You can see it's got this sunlight. God is blessed. It's pretty, but wow. See the little face? Now, I do not always tell people you got to craft all toys or anything like that. Now, the reason I craft for my grandchildren is because I believe in the energy of protection. As you know, protection is important. So, what I'm going to do is after I finish sewing this doll, and believe me when I say everything I put on this doll has a meaning and a purpose. Okay, the colors have a purpose. And I if I was making a much more commercial doll, I probably would glue some of these buttons on. Probably not. I like the sewing better, but it wouldn't be out of the question. But for a little child, because she's only 2, I am sewing these buttons on so that she can tug and pull and do whatever, but they won't come off. And when I am done with this, which I probably won't be for about a week, because I do take my time, I do not sew when I make dolls like this for my grandchildren or for any child or for any adult, for anyone. I, I should be more specific. Whenever I make a spirit doll, and this is a spirit doll, or whenever I make a voodoo doll, I always sew by hand. I never sew a doll by machine. Never. And I do have machines, several, two sewing machines. But the reason I do not do that is because I am crafting. And whenever I do spirit work or crafting work, I want to put as much of my energy in it as I possibly can. And I look at this as being a very powerful spirit doll for my little granddaughter because I am going to be putting hours and hours of spirit work into this doll. Also, for anybody who's thinking of doing one yourself, for your children and your grandchildren, your niece or your nephew, or just a good family friend, I would strongly suggest that you put a miniature satchel of herbs in the middle of it. And what I usually do is I try to give a mixture of male and female. So that means in the satchel that I'm going to, be adding to this, I will be putting a pink satchel, which is love, that's made of a natural. It's going to be breathable. I'm going to be putting in roses. I'm going to be putting in sunflowers, all dehydrated. In my case, I'm going to dehydrate them. Roses, sunflowers, lavender. I'm going to put in some pine needles for luck, protection, and some sage. That's very good. And these would be things to protect my little granddaughter when she sleeps at night and keeps her safe. Also, some peppermint because she's going to be sleeping, and peppermint is good for protecting one in their sleep. You know, it's good for sleep, but protection in sleep because peppermint also is a element of protection is in that. Also, a little spearmint because that's just for sleeping and power spells. Not just, but one of the main attributes. So, I hope I didn't wake anybody up by doing it like that. I am going to finish up my spirit doll, and I'm going to wish all of you guys a very blessed morning. Blessed be.